Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Rogue's Passage. I'm Tanner Cherry, and I'm here today to do a deck tech on a creature that I've been saying I was going to build for a long time. This deck, Crested Sunmare. Air Horse 1. We're finally doing it. What's that you say? Not legendary? Who cares? I have wanted to do this deck for a while. It's templated like a legend. It always should have been. Amonkhet and Hour Devastation was when I started playing Magic as well, so this one has a special place in my heart. Basically, Crested Sunmare reads for 3 white. Other horses you control have indestructible. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 5/5 white horse creature token. So, Air Horse 1, the point of the deck is we just want to be gaining life on basically each turn, as many turns as we can, with the Sunmare out, creating 5/5 indestructible horses in which we will hoof our opponents to death.
Lord have mercy!
And it's simple. It's not complicated. We just want to create a lot of horse tokens. We want to gain a bunch of life, I guess, and smash in. Big surprise. I like to attack with tokens. It's kind of a thing. But let's get over to the digital page here. I'm using Architect to do this one. All right, here's the deck list. I have recently become an adopter of using digital stuff like this Architect, and it has definitely revolutionized my ability to brew decks, and I love the fact that if I have an idea, I just pop it up on mobile and I toss it in. And I've been kind of refining 5 decks over the past few weeks to month, and I figured, yeah, let's talk about this. Okay, so this is a deck that you're gonna have to ask your friends, or rule 0, you're gonna have to get people to agree that you can use this card. I would say with half the stuff printed with legendary creature on it recently, you're not gonna have to convince your friends too hard to make a couple horse tokens. This is far and above not the most egregious thing Magic has ever put in the command zone. So, starting out with the one Anthem that's in the deck, I guess, we got Intangible Virtue. It just gives creature tokens +1/+1 in Vigilance, which is just going to make it easier to attack and block. We've got a removal suite here, 7 cards. Generous Gift, obviously. Grasp of Fate. It hits a couple permanents, so it's just a great O-ring. Invoke the Divine, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and you gain 4 life at instant speed. There's going to be a lot of cards in here that maybe aren't the best in slot, but they trigger life gain on other people's turns, so they're there to be used as a toolbox. Light of Hope is one of those. Destroy target enchantment or gain 4 life or put a counter on a creature. Obviously, Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares in your white decks. Winds of Abandon there as well. You kind of want these cards. They're great removal suite cards. Crested Sunmare in the command zone. Obviously, this Wicked Secret Lair version that is the most ridiculous art I think I've seen on a Magic card in a long time. Totally gay rainbow pony. Just smiling sunshine, jumping dolphins. Bravo. Artist is Paul Mafoyan. Top notch. Okay, in the token doubling category, we've got Anointed Procession, who's going to double your tokens. Divine Visitation will turn them into 4/4 Angels, which I guess is a bit of a non-bo. You won't get the Indestructible clause from Crested Sunmare, but they're 4/4 Angels. They're going to fly in with Vigilance, and it'll likely end the game. Mondrak is going to do an impression of Anointed Procession, and Ocelot Pride is a new addition to this. If you're not playing Ocelot Pride in these decks, I would really try it. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a white cat. And if you have the City's Blessing for each token you control that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. So it does also a doubling impression, kind of like an Anointed Procession. Odor Attack is obvious. It's just going to triple tokens. That one is a, kind of crazy, egregious one that came out not too long ago. Strionic Resonator will copy the triggered ability of Crested Sunmare. Simple. Our draw engines are Esper Sentinel, Inspiring Overseer, which is also going to trigger life gain, Priest of Ancient Lore, which is also going to trigger life gain, and then Well of Lost Dreams is essentially whenever I gain life, I can turn mana into cards, which I've cut this card from decks before, but I'm going to try it again here, see if we have enough mana left over to use it. We're running 3 tutors, Enlightened Tutor, Heliod's Pilgrim, and Idyllic Tutor. These are what we kind of want to use to find Anointed Procession, Divine Visitation, and we'll talk about Authority of the Consoles later. This card's nuts in this deck, so just standard tutor package. We might as well call this category the Audric category, because both of these versions of Audric are just going to be incredible, right? Like, you go to combat, Audric makes you win. Great cards. Our land suite consists of 22 snow-covered plains. I believe we're running the extra planar lens. Yeah, that's why we're running the snow-covered plains. It'll double our snow-covered plains without making other people's plains double in mana. We got an Ancient Tomb. The Kabir Crossroads triggers life gain. Core Haven is just always really nice to have in your white decks. Minas Tirith, we're going to be attacking with creatures, so why not try and draw cards? Nykthos is pretty obvious. That card just turns all your white mana into more white mana. Radiant Fountain obviously triggers life gain. Strip Mine for, you know, if your opponents are being nasty and you just want to snap off one of their lands. War Room's a pretty cool include. Pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, which is essentially you pay 1 life and draw a card, 3 mana. Wasteland as well. I don't know. We'll see if we have enough colored sources in the deck to maybe take out one between Strip Mine or Wasteland. And then Windbrisk Heights. It's a hideaway land, and you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attack with 3 or more creatures this turn. And Indestructible Horse team probably going to be attacking. Okay, now the most important category in the deck is the life gain category. We have 23 of these cards in here. Basically, they're going to be lifelink creatures that can trigger attacking and blocking life gain. Arcane Ledger of Thune, of course, whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Kind of absurd. Ashes of the Abhorrent, whenever a creature dies, we're going to gain a life. So it's going to help trigger on every turn, potentially as people just do their thing and play Magic. Auriok Champion, whenever another creature enters, you may gain a life. Now, this is going to be something we're going to see with, you know, Soul Warden, Soul's Attendant, stuff like that. Whenever creatures are coming in and out of the battlefield, we are going to be gaining life. Hopefully that just turns into an actual barnyard of horses. Children of Corliss, I can sacrifice it to gain life equal to the life I've lost this turn. So if someone attacks me, I can sacrifice it, gain life, make some horse. Healer's Hawk getting in there. It's bird. Holy cow. Great addition. I mean, this card is just an include based on just makes me smile. It is a flash, life gain, flying threat that scries, so again, we can flash stuff in on other people's turns. Leonin Elder, whenever an artifact comes into play, you may gain 1 life. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, it seems like it's laid out like it's gonna make a lot of horses. We're gonna have to see, because I haven't actually played the deck. I've put these together digitally, and I'm probably gonna order the cards here this week, and you will see this on an episode of the Rogue's Passage soon. We're gonna do like a Rule 0 kind of illegal commander episode, and this is my selection for it. So a little sneak peek at the deck list. Nykthos Paragon, this card is very expensive. It's 6 mana, but whenever I gain life, I can put that many 1/1 counters on each creature I control, do it once per turn. Should pan out to be a good card. Omen of the Sun, flash, life gain, of course. Revitalize, life gain, draw a card. We got Sacred Cat, Sarah Ascendant. Shattered Angel is whenever a land enters the opponent under an opponent's control, I gain 3 life. So that, I mean, that's going to be, I don't think I've ever played with this card before. I'm quite excited to see how it performs. Sky Crier is flying lifelink. Soldier of the Pantheon, whenever an opponent casts a multicolored spell, you gain a life. Obviously, we got Soul Warden, Soul's Attendant, creatures entering will gain me life. Soul Mender taps to gain a life. Sun Scorch Regent, whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on it and gain a life. I feel like the deck's gonna work. I'm excited to play. Suture Priest, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, they lose a life, and when I enter under my control, I gain a life. So this actually, the next one here, Wall of Reverence. I don't know if this one's gonna trigger the way I thought it was going to. It says at the beginning of your end step, you may gain life equal to the power of target creature you control, but I believe that I would then be gaining life in the end step, and I would not create the beginning of the end step trigger on Crested Sunmare, but I'm still going to be gaining, I guess, 6 life at the end of the turn, or sorry, gain life equal to the power of target creature you control. It would be 5 from one of the horses, right? Still 5 life a turn. That might be the first card to go if it just doesn't perform the way that I want it to. Next category is protection. Chroma's Will is protection, but it's also kind of just a finisher. I mean, if you control the horse, or sorry, if you control Crested Sunmare and all of your team of horses, you basically give them a flying vigilance, double strike, lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors. So if you can't win with an Chroma's Will and a bunch of horses, I don't know why you're playing this deck. Alseid of Life's Bounty is essentially a lifelinker as well that can protect Crested Sunmare. Flawless Maneuver is like from the Deflecting SWAT and Fierce Guardianship cycle. If you control your commander, you get it for free. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. I know my horses are all indestructible, but we really got to protect the Crested Sunmare, otherwise the deck doesn't work. Stuff like Giver of Runes and Mother of Runes and Skrelv, of course, are going to provide hexproof or protection when people try to pick off your horse. And I mean, like, don't kill horses. Don't attack animals. Lightning Greaves, of course. I think I gotta make an altar or something where there's 4 in the picture, because horse? Anyway, last category is ramp. We got 14 pieces of ramp. It is a 5 mana commander, and you kind of have to get it out for everything else to work. So I like to run, I know that some people say like 10 pieces of ramp is a good place to start, but I kind of prefer to run a little more personally. I feel like the format really, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to be super competitive with this deck. I like to be able to have some ramp in the early turn so that I can do things at a reasonable pace. So we're running Arcane Signet. Extra planar lens obviously turns our snow-covered plains into double tapping Felwar Stone. We've got the gold mirror taps for white, land tax, sometimes great, sometimes not. Mana Crypt, I'm gonna be gaining a lot of life. I don't mind taking, usually I always take the trigger off Mana Crypt, but you know, in this deck it won't matter so much. Marble Diamond, Mind Stone, Palladium Mirror, Pearl Medallion, white spells cost 1 less. This one, the Pristine Talisman, is one of the earliest things that made, the first thing I thought of when it was like I wanted to build this deck is a mana rock that taps and also gains life, so I can trigger it kind of at instant speed. Smothering Tithe, good card, I hear, good card. And Soul Ring and Thought Vessel. So that's the deck. We've got 100 cards here. This is an experiment. You know, we were encouraged by some friends of ours from another channel to just build anything you want in the command zone, as long as it makes sense, as long as it's not just like a total one-piece combo win and it's egregious. Just don't worry if it doesn't say legendary. Like, have fun with it, build a deck, and enjoy Magic. We encourage you to just drop a little bit of the tension or whatever, and just let your friends play with the silly rainbow horse cards sometimes. So I will post the link once we publish this gameplay video. I'll post it in the comments once that's live. It might not be for a little bit, but I've been preparing these deck lists for these deck techs, and I hope you enjoy Crested Sunmare, EDH, Air Horse 1. This deck, I've been talking about it for years, so it's kind of cool. I get to play it soon, and I hope you enjoy. See you guys on the next deck tech. Bye.